You're listening to Creating a Universe, a Love Anarchy podcast hosted by William J. Rogers. On this show, we follow the journey of creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs who are making a name for themselves in the ever-evolving landscape of today's industry. Featuring an insight into both Love Anarchy and the Lovaniverse music universe, as well as the individual projects and stories of each of our guests, from the music industry and beyond. So whether you're a budding creative or simply interested in what goes on behind the scenes, this is the podcast for you.
Hello and welcome to Creating a Universe. I'm your host, William J. Rogers, and today I am here with solo artist and guitarist of A Dark Halo, Jonesy AKA Shred Rogers. How's it going, man?
Doing good. How are you today, William?
Very well, thanks, man. Very well. Thank you for joining me, man. It's great to have you here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Cool, man. So for the people that may not be aware of who you are, would you be able to give a little bit of an introduction as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Jonesy, AKA Shred Rogers. So Shred Rogers is the name of my newer solo project that I launched last year. But I've been playing guitar semi-professionally for a number of years with the outfit A Dark Halo, the cyber metal project. And we were active about 2004 through about 2007, and then took a hiatus. And during the hiatus, I had started fostering and adopting children. I now have 3 adopted children and occasionally foster kids as our availability allows. But about 2018, I reconnected with Dave from A Dark Halo, and we made a new newish project, new additional band members with that outfit. So as I was starting to get ready to, have modern equipment to record from afar, because we do live all around the nation here in the U.S., I thought, I really want to do something with this Shred Rogers. So I guess that's my short intro. I can keep going if you'd like.
Yeah, please, man. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So during the hiatus time, it was about let's see here. At about 2012, I think, I was just playing along like on a little cheesy acoustic guitar with my oldest son. Wheels on the Bus, I'm a Nut, Baba Black Sheep, various other nursery rhymes. And I thought, I still have that metalhead in me. I got to do something with this energy. So I decided to make a demo. And I called myself Daddy Death Metal back then. And I uploaded a video of my Wheels on the Bus demo on YouTube. And as time was going on, it's gotten over at this point 50,000 views.
Wow.
and I just hadn't done anything with it. I was following a different career while also becoming a parent. And I saw that. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of views for doing nothing. And maybe I should really do something with this. So again, going back as I gotten more professional equipment and stuff with the Dark Halo, I decided I'm going to do something with this side project. So I've now retitled it Shred Rogers. And the idea is, I love Mr. Rogers, or Fred Rogers. He was a positive male role model for me growing up. And I've always kind of been somebody who naturally tries to be my best self and try to uplift people. I've had many folks tell me over the years, like, how is somebody so nice able to make this dark music? And it's just a matter of channeling anger into something positive. So I thought, wow, I should really roll with that. So that's where I am. So I'm starting out with
Awesome.
Shred. So yeah.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Lots of really awesome stuff to get into there. Like, I love how, as you say, obviously you make this dark, heavy music. Shred Rogers, like you're doing like these nursery rhymes, Baba Black Sheep, Wheels on the Bus, in like death metal, black metal, crazy metal stuff, which is, awesome. It's really fun. It's not so surprised that, the video kind of picked up a sort of virality like that, just because I guess it's a fun thing, right? To be like, oh, Wheels of the Bus, death metal version. So that's really cool. And so I love the kind of how fun this project is. Like, you clearly are not taking yourself seriously at all. It's really like lighthearted. As you say, I love this ethos you have about just uplifting people. That is so cool. And that's like so embedded in what you're doing with the Shred Rogers project. And I find it to be such a cool contrast because I would say the music of a Dark Halo, it has this vibe that feels so much more like serious. you know, it feels so serious and dark and heavy. And I love it. It's really, really awesome.
Right.
But it's so cool that you have those two different outlets.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating how things happen with our lives. Right. You know, I would love to be able to be a professional musician as a living. It just hasn't happened up at this point in life. But I feel like, you know, there's a calling that pushes us sometimes, and I wouldn't listen to it for a long time. And now as the stars are aligning, as they say, I'm just really just pushing to roll with it. And I think the pandemic that we all dealt with a few years ago would really helped me make this more seriously. And I guess the seriousness is really like, be authentic and be 100% yourself and just see what happens. Because I've always been a deep thinker. I've always been somebody who follows people that I love, like in art or film or music, like George Lucas, Devin Townsend, the creators of Batman, Bill Finger and Bob Kane. These people that like they have something and they just go for it and they're authentic, and then it resonates somehow. And it's like, and then you if you hear their stories, like George Lucas, the guy was like going to the hospital, made himself sick, making the first Star Wars, had all these people laughing at him, didn't know what he was doing, didn't make sense to them. And he just was like, I got to get it out of me. And what ended up happening with him? I mean, billion-dollar industry that's gone for decades, right?
Yeah.
I don't foresee Shred Rogers being something like that, but what I really want to do is try to just do something fun, like, and doesn't take itself seriously, but at the same time is of a high quality. You know, like one of the more recent so I've released 4 singles so far. My first one was Alive, which is an instrumental original, and that was kind of a like, look, pandemic, I'm not going to let you defeat me. I'm alive. And it was like very much a Metallica thrash, like fast, you know, FU to the pandemic. And then Baba Black Sheep was my first released nursery rhyme. And that one, I worked so hard on that to make it as like authentic, like black metal, very much Dimmu Borgir as I could. I even went to the point and got, I found a Korg M1 emulation pack from Korg you can buy.
Wow.
So I'm using the sounds that from, you know, the 90s and stuff that a lot of these groups use. But that's kind of like where I live in my musical repertoire is like Metallica and Pantera and Strapping Young Lad and older Dimmu Borgir and Emperor. You know, just I love that stuff. Anyway,
90s. Yeah.
So that's what's fun about it so far is like I want it to be like you threw on a Dimmu Borgir album.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this extremely heavy thing is actually a nursery rhyme.
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing about your style. Yeah. As you say, especially like Baba Black Sheep, because it's instrumental for like the first couple of minutes of the song or something like that. So as you say, it literally just sounds like you're listening to, as you said, Dimmu Borgir or something. And you're like, wow, this is an awesome metal track. And then you realize that it's Baba Black Sheep. I was literally playing Wheels on the Bus earlier, having dinner with my family. And my wife was sitting there with my son and, you know, went through it. And then like second verse, she went, I just realized that this is Wheels on the Bus.
That's great.
I said to my son, like, hey, you like this one, right? You know, this one. So yeah, as you say, it's not necessarily like, you know, you're actually writing good original songs there, like good original dark, like heavy songs. They just happen to be renditions of the nursery rhyme that adds this kind of comical kind of quality to it. I love it, man.
Thank you, William. Appreciate that. Yeah. So, I was going to mention, so the other single I came out with is Jib, and that's another original. Yeah. So that one was made at a time when a good friend of mine had passed suddenly, and I was so overwhelmed with pain and grief that I had to do something for his only surviving daughter at the time. I made the song, and Dave from A Dark Halo had mixed the original version, and I didn't release it other than I did have a YouTube video for a while for friends to have, to listen to, but that one I only made it to send it to his daughter and friends for the celebration of life ceremony they had. I wanted something cool to like be there for him. And and that again was before that I had the Shred Rogers name and making this more serious. So what I plan to do is on July 7th, I'm going to be releasing my track listing for the album for Shred Rogers. Wow. And it's designed to be, the album is going to be a mixture of the nursery rhyme reimaginings as well as original instrumentals. Most of it will be instrumental as it's flowering and becoming what it is, right? I'm realizing that it's mostly instrumental, but we'll have occasional lyrical content, and it's going to be nursery rhyme. So
nice.
But yeah, all of the instrumental originals I've made so far actually have been demo form well over 10 years, and they've all been songs that I've written for people. Cool. Oddly enough, like I have one that's about one of my deep good friends, Matt. He was a Dark Halo fan back in the day that stuck around in my life for years now. When he had his first daughter, I wrote a song trying to get across the love of a child, the love of being a parent. So that's a song. And then there's one, the one I made for my friend that died. And then there's one that's about a boss from a former job, the career that I left to now do this more. She was transitioning into a new job that was more soul fitting. So I was asked by the old company to make, can you write like a couple bars of something we can put in a PowerPoint presentation? And I'm just somebody who like, I'm going to make a song. So I made a whole
take
song.
It and run.
So she got a whole song, and then I've now let her know it's been completely remastered professionally, and that will be my album. She's like, I can't believe you're doing that. So, I don't know. There's something I feel like as the world's gotten harder for a lot of people, and we've dealt with so much more stress, that like I have this deep rebellious streak that all of us that love metal probably have. Like, I have to rebel, and it's rebelling for love and light and like positivity. Like, it's like, fuck you, we matter. So it's like the same like rebel attitude of like, the black metal pioneers are like, F you religion, that's holding me down. But in a way, I'm like trying to subvert it a little bit.
Yeah. Dude,
like I'm not against that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just I'm so with you, man. Yeah. I share your mentality all day long, man.
Yeah. So
yeah, really cool to hear, those inspirations there, especially because Jib, like when I listened to that, it's an instrumental track, but it felt very emotional. I could feel the emotion there, which was again another contrast from listening to nursery rhymes and stuff like that, and then it's like, oh, and here's like this entirely other thing, and it was a very cool vibe, and I could feel that there was something there. And so the fact that you're writing instrumental music but with so much sort of meaning and intention to it, and also like a tribute to specific people, and also like a gift, that it sounds like you've done kind of numerous times with tracks. That's really amazing, man.
Oh, thank you, William. Yeah, I'm just, as I'm getting older and going through my own trials through life and watching others suffer, it's like I just want to make sure people really realize that they matter. I mean, because there's times we all feel that way, and we might feel like we're on our own little bubble. No one notices me. Like, I mean, Jib, like I met him when I was in a band prior to A Dark Halo in the Arizona. I used to live and perform out there many years back, and at the time he moved from the state of Arkansas with his band, and they were opening for my older band at that point. And he was just this amazing light of a person. Right. And it's like that. I'll always remember that moment. And like over the years, as he has struggled through his own struggles, like we occasionally meet up, and I always remind him of like, man, like of those times we met, how much he influenced really me and even a Dark Halo. Their band was called Vessels of Wrath, and they never went too far in the ethos, right? But it still matters. Like it doesn't matter if you have a ton of sales or if you have 1 million followers or whatever. Like if you're out there and you're authentic and you try to just, I don't know, try to do something that your heart is telling you to do, it's like it freaking matters. So I wanted to take, like, I knew him. He meant a lot to me. His loss was very painful because he was so amazing. And I have to do something to like honor him, you know?
Yeah.
And hopefully when this gets out as an album and stuff and people are discovering it, it'll resonate with them too. Like, God, like this guy made this for somebody that was a deep friend that, you know, he hadn't seen too much over the years, but mattered that much. Maybe I mattered that much to somebody.
Wow. That's amazing, man. Wow. That's really amazing. And again, I just think that's so cool. You know, the lightness that's in your music and the actual depth that's in it at the same time. You know, that's a really cool factor to it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. And so in a way, this music that you're doing in Shred Rogers, you've got the nursery rhyme tracks and you've got instrumental tracks, but largely these tracks are very much like, you know, thinking of somebody, or in a way, all of this music is kind of like your gift, you know, to
Correct.
different people, you know, a collection of gifts that you've made. Because
Right.
I suppose even the nursery rhyme and stuff, I guess that's somewhat linked to, as you say, like fostering and stuff has been a big part of your life, being a parent. So I guess that's where the nursery rhymes and everything comes in.
Yeah, it is. You know, we tried to, my wife and I tried to have kids biologically for a long time. It just wasn't in the cards. So we found out about going down the foster path. And I will tell you, it's extremely hard. It's just, there's a lot of darkness that lives in that world also.
Sadly,
and
yeah.
I think being in that and giving kids a chance to like have a home that's not going to be traumatic and unsafe and all that is also feeding into this. Yeah, it's like, look, the world sucks sometimes, right? But it's not all bad. And you can take your anger and you can take your pain and you can fuel it into something beautiful. And really that same vibe is has been fed into the newer Dark Halo as well. Dave and I are the first two members of that group, but everybody that has now become a part of the new unit of that group, we all are kind of coming from that same mindset too. Like we're all people that need to make the world better than we found it, you know?
Yeah.
By offering our gift, you know? So
yeah, dude, that's amazing, man. I love how you articulate this, man. And I think probably in some way, shape or form, it's kind of like what most of us artists do. I think maybe whether we know it or not, or whether we see it that way. Like I think that you're articulating really well the essence of what it really comes down to.
True. It's very true.
Yeah. And it's especially good, I think, positive to think about it in this way of giving to others, you know, rather than it being a totally sort of self-centered approach. Although, you know, I guess there is a element of introspection and everything to it as well that
sure,
naturally.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, so far it is all me doing Shred Rogers, so it is kind of self-centered in one hand. But I do plan to collaborate. You know, once I get this album out of my system, I plan to keep going and just maybe doing more collabs.
So you said about doing everything then, like, are you talking like literally everything? You've like produce it yourself? Like you record all the instruments, like mixing, mastering?
So instrumentally, yes. All the instruments that you hear on the recording are me. There are some exceptions. I do give credit where it's due. Dave from A Dark Halo has offered some keyboard support on Jib. He also put together the wonderful intro of Baba Black Sheep. I wanted something fun to start it. And I remember telling him, like the vibe of like, you think of sheep, where would they be? They'd be in the field, like Braveheart. I want like sheep in a field with Braveheart. So he had all the bagpipes in there and stuff. I'm like, that's it. And he actually went to school to be a more of a traditional composer many years back. So
wow.
I was also excited for him to, show some of his composition muscles, because that intro is very much almost like symphonic a little bit,
Yeah.
like a movie.
Yeah.
But besides that, so I do record everything here where I live and work, and but then I have it mixed and mastered by Tommy, Tomster Studios. He's in the Netherlands. He actually is the producer or mixing mastering guy for The Last Bear Ender.
Okay, cool.
And he's a multi-instrumentalist gentleman. Wilrick is the man who is The Last Bear Ender. He's in the Netherlands also. But we actually found Tommy through him, and Tommy has also mastered the new A Dark Halo album that's about to come out.
Right, yeah, I was curious if he was also doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Cool. And you mentioned that you're going to release the track listing for this in a couple of days. So this episode will already be out. Do you have like a release date or things like that? Don't worry if you don't, but
I would love to say yes. I'm planning to get it out before the end of the year.
Okay.
Very close to being finished. I only have 3 songs to record, and it'll be 11 to 12 tracks.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, cool. So nice. You have a nice handful that people can go check out now, and an album coming later in the year is the plan. That's
correct.
Great, man.
Yep.
That's great. Nice. Yeah. And that's basically, and that's you, and that's everything that we've been chatting about kind of contained within this. And then you send it out for mixing and mastering, and yeah, wicked, man. Like, it's a great project, dude. Love what you're doing. Thank you. It.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say too, that, has been exciting is that I'm a huge fan of progressive music, progressive rock, metal, just things that change a lot. I mentioned Devin Townsend earlier. He's a big, for Strapping Young Lad. They're big influence on my listening and thinking, I guess, creatively, but also Dream Theater is big for me, and Rush, groups like that. So this album, when it's released, is a progressive in nature.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to reveal too much, but
nice.
But it will be a listening experience.
Amazing. Cool, man. I can't wait for that. That sounds really awesome. So let's then pivot to the flip to the other side then and talk about A Dark Halo, because I'm really curious about this band, and the fact that, as you say, you're a band of like 2 different eras.
Yeah.
So,
right.
So when did A Dark Halo originally start then, and what was that original kind of foundation like for the band?
Yeah, so Dave and I had been friends and had played in local bands in Arizona all the way back to like 1999 is when we started. And we were active together in an older band that's been long since defunct. They were called Biomech. We worked together for a few years and then kind of went our separate ways, going to school and getting married, things like that. And I had been in a number of bands since we were together, but I always thought of him like, this guy is like so talented and brought something out of me that no one else has ever. I just haven't connected in a similar way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was around 2003, I guess, 2004. I kind of forget the year, but I was at a point when, I was married and I was thinking about getting more serious about starting a family. And I had been hitting the grindstone, whatever they say, at trying to make it in music, hitting the local scene and not really getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I can't do this forever. I was really frustrated with a lot of the darkness I saw happening in the scene. And I thought, I just got to walk away from this. I thought about becoming a music therapist because that was my first way of trying to connect using music to help someone. So I quit the bands I was in. I was thinking about going back to school, and I get a call out of nowhere from Dave. And he's like, I'm starting a career and he makes music and sound design for video games professionally.
Wow, cool career.
He's like, I want to do something with metal again. I'm like, you're serious? Oh yeah, but I just want to do it for me. Oh yeah, no drama. Yep, no drama. Okay, let's do it. So it very much was Dave's idea originally. He had the Dark Halo name, and he knew what he wanted to do, and but he needed a guitar player he could trust. Somebody who could, as he likes to say, someone who can really play the guitar. Oh, okay, I'll be your guitarist. So yeah, we spent like
Nice.
2 years, making the first Dark Halo album called Catalyst in his little office in Arizona, and that was at a time when it wasn't as common to do the DIY. We did purchase the drum kit from Hell set that the drummer from what is it now? Why can't I think of it?
Meshuggah.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Yeah. I know that. I have that one as well.
Yeah, we purchased that, to because that was kind of a new idea at the time, and
program drums. Yeah.
and we spent a long time making that album, but we did it. We had it mixed and mastered by a studio there, and put it out there. MySpace was really big back then, and we kind of did something similar like we do now with a Dark Halo, where we release a single when it's ready. So we released the album. It was just the two of us on record, and we hired 2 local buddies to be our second guitarist and drummer. And we ended up playing a handful of shows. Started getting feelers out to labels, and but it just wasn't the right time. We were in a place when, yeah, we had the dreams. We've always had a dream to, be musicians, touring and doing that, but we just had different priorities, So we got the album out of our system. It was fantastic, and we decided to kind of go our separate ways again. But what happened over the years from 2006 to 2018, we would occasionally get emails from people like, hey, I'm trying to find Catalyst. Love that album. Hey, that album was my childhood. Like, what? Got me through hard times. Like, what?
Wow.
We're on Amazon, and we each have like a handful of the CDs because it was all self-released. Dave started the label to release it.
Wow.
But we had our stacks for all these years that we just kind of held on to. But I go into Amazon one time, and there's a listing for like $50 for Catalyst. I'm like, what? $50 out of print Catalyst? So I thought, for fun, at the time I had like 50 copies of Catalyst. I'm like, no one should pay $50 for the CD. I felt like that was robbery. So I decided to put it up. I'm like, I'm going to sign them and just sell them a signed copy. And man, they moved. Like,
wow.
I put them up for like $15 to $20, no more than 20 for a signed copy with a certificate of authenticity. Yeah, I mean, somebody from like China, Russia, England, were buying these from me, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? It got out there. Well, I should be clear about one thing. When we were making Catalyst, since Dave was in the video game industry, he did get an opportunity to license some music for a video game. And actually,
I saw something about this. Okay, you can.
I can show you. Hopefully my butt wasn't in the shot there, but anyway.
No, we're all good.
So this game, WWE Day of Reckoning 2 for the GameCube,
right? Yeah,
has Burn It All and Beyond Recall from the Catalyst album. The first 2 tracks are
it has
on
2
it.
tracks. Wow.
Yep. And then Dave had the opportunity to make the rest of the background music that you could choose in an instrumental fashion. So it's kind of like Secret of Dark Halo music, instrumental music plus those 2.
So I see it, and so that's why it'd be the soundtrack of certain people's childhood and stuff. They were playing this game.
Yes, they were playing this game. And so we licensed it for free. We just gave the songs away.
Sure, yeah.
But not realizing that it did have the reach with the wrestling community.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
But there was something else that I wasn't wise enough to see it at the time. But when Catalyst was coming out, my late father was stationed in Germany during the Iraq the war that was happening in the 2000s. He was a nurse taking care of wounded soldiers and civilians from the conflicts. And one day he was walking past a room off work, and he heard he called it my songs being blasted on a boombox or something. There was a janitor guy, blasting one of the songs, and he's like, "What are you listening to?" "Oh, that's Dark Halo. They're awesome. That's my son's band."
Wow. Which
again blew my mind. But I didn't really realize it at the time.
Oh.
So to kind of go back to this hiatus period, we get emails occasionally from people saying, "Where are you? I love your music." The copies of the CD are selling like hotcakes for a little while on Amazon. Then I find out that there were U.S. soldiers that were using the music to get through the harshness of war.
Wow.
So there was that connection to the wrestling, but also the U.S. military.
Well, I suppose there's probably some crossover in that, right? I guess the audience,
yeah,
that would have like kids that would have liked that maybe joined the military.
Right, you kind of see like wrestlers like superheroes, and you want to be a superhero army person.
I guess so.
Yeah. So finding that out was mind blowing, and we just thought, Dave called me up again, and was like, we should like see if this has any legs to it, So we digitally reissued Catalyst. Dave did a couple new versions and mixes of a couple songs, and then put on Spotify as a digital reissue. And there was an audience. They're finding us again. So we decided, let's just make music. So because, we have a lot of other things in our lives going on, and we only have so much time, with no label support, and living in different geographic locations. We started making new music, and then he found this guitar player, Abe, who is our like lead virtuoso in Dark Halo now. He's very much comes from the progressive camp. He's not into a lot of the super heavy stuff that we bring to it, but it's still beautiful, right? I feel like you should make music with people that are from different camps of thinking and playing and all that. So we have it now, and Kay is our drummer. She's a professional drummer in the Texas area. She's our drummer, and then we have Melrose, who's one of the vocalists of Mechina, which is another cyber metal band that's has quite the following. We asked her if she'd be interested in doing a similar type of project, but a little bit more commercial sounding, maybe at times. And she was like, "Yeah, totally." She's got a wonderful voice, and she can play guitar too. So if we ever decide to hit the road, if that will happen, I mean, I'm not sure if it will, but if it does, we'll be a 3 guitar band live, and everybody can sing.
Nice.
I've kind of been joking with Dave that like it would be fun to do like an Allman Brothers 5-part harmony on stage, and then scream. Anyway, yeah.
And you never had a bass player, is that right?
So live, Dave is the bassist.
Oh yeah, okay, right, of course.
Kind of doing the Peter Steele thing. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah,
cool,
which
man.
Typo's a huge influence in a Dark Halo, I must say.
It makes sense. There is that gothic kind of sound. I mean, especially that first record, which I really, really like a lot.
Well, thank you.
I think the main thing is like it reminds me a lot of Paradise Lost. Especially the sort of symbol of life type era, but obviously with some more kind of growls, and he's almost got like a bit of a Randy Blythe kind of growl going on, which is really cool, especially in that era.
Right.
And for me, like Paradise Lost are literally like one of my favorite bands. I think they're my most streamed band on Spotify, at least.
Oh, so, sweet.
Yeah. I definitely have a big affinity for the kind of music that you guys do. And so obviously Paradise Lost, Type of Negative, it's all a very kind of, that kind of dark 90s gothic kind of vibe. So
yes.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah. I love Type of Negative, and I haven't heard too much Paradise Lost, so you should give me some.
Really? Oh man. Oh,
Yeah.
I will. Oh man, I was thinking like that you guys must be massive Paradise Lost fans when I was listening, especially to that older record. So yeah, if you're not, then you're in for a treat, man. Because it's funny, like I listen to lots of different kinds of music, but
Sure.
when it comes to like if I look on my Spotify data stuff that we can all do, then my top artists are like Paradise Lost, Devon Townsend, Type of Negative, Dream Theater, Opeth. So I think we have a very kind of similar ballpark of things going on here.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I can tell you, because I remember this, our biggest influences for Dark Halo's first album were In Flames, especially
cool, yeah.
like the In Flames of like Soundtrack to Your Escape and Reroute to Remain, like that era.
Nice.
Demi Borgir at the time, like the Progenies album era, and Death Cold Armageddon. Type of Negative, Pantera. Pantera is really big in our DNA.
Yeah,
actually,
makes sense.
Fear Factory. We have gotten a lot of comparisons vocally to Fear Factory.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's
and
cool.
then Soilwork, I'd say, and then anime. I remember like when we were first trying to figure out what we wanted our music to sound like, we had a image of Ghost in the Shell on our screen. It had a lot of various colors in it, and we were like challenged ourselves to like make music that sounded those colors. And
wow,
Burn It All was the song that came out.
That is cool. That's really cool. I mean, Ghost in the Shell definitely makes sense. Like, I don't know a lot of anime, but Ghost in the Shell, I'm definitely pretty familiar with. I loved that a lot when I was younger, and that has that whole cyber vibe. So it makes sense because of those bands that you mentioned, like those influences all make sense. Especially you guys coming from this sort of 90s metal scene. But then obviously you've got quite heavy industrial elements and synths, especially in that first record.
Right. I would say that one has more of an industrial vibe, but now it's more like, we kind of take some of those original flavors, and the newer music we're writing is like Ghost is a big influence. And
okay, cool. Yeah.
Mechina. I mean, we do really like what they do. And now with Mel offering vocals, there's a similarity, but it's still different.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
We want her to try expressing herself differently in our project too. But more of the Dream Theater influence is coming out.
Yeah, it's more progressive, I think, and you definitely have a more modern metal sound. It's heavy, like
Gent, like the Gent, they're like Periphery and stuff, and
exactly, I can hear that. Yeah, it's really cool. I really like the new sound that you guys have, because as you say, you've taken that core, and then it feels very modern and fresh. What you guys are doing now, because you still have that authenticity to you, but then as you say, you've kind of brought in this fresh blood with newer members coming and contributing things as well, and it's very cool, man. Very cool what you guys are doing.
Thank you, William. Yeah, I'm excited for people to hear it. And I know it, for some fans it can be frustrating how long we take with the Dark Halo, but we just we have
we already waited, what was it, 18 years or something? Or what did you say?
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's quite that long, but
sorry,
but
2018, sorry, you said.
We started back up. Yep. But we always have had a bangers only philosophy, so that's why.
Cool.
We have lots of songs that we've started that we haven't released. And the perfectionist side of me that I wish some of these things, would make the light, see the light of day. But again, if it's not bangers, they don't come out with the Dark Halo.
So what does the songwriting process look like for you guys from like the beginning of a song to a final master? What's that process like?
So one of us will come up with like maybe a couple riffs or a melody, and we just kind of send it around. Dave very much wears the producer hat in the Dark Halo, so he does have a lot of the big say in what ends up coming out, which is fine. We're all in the understanding of that. So yeah, like an idea will be started to be developed, and Dave will kind of create the bones of it, and then we all get a chance to put our guitars and our vocals on it. On record, all of us, those that play guitar, so Abe, Mel, and myself, and even Dave, will all have guitars in the track.
Mm-hmm.
But where I live the most is more of the complicated rhythms, and then Abe has the complicated leads. Mel, of course, then does the female vocals aspect, and then Dave does the majority of the male vocals. But on record, Abe has sang on one track, and then my vocal contribution is always the high pitched scream on the classic album, and then the newer stuff. So like the voice like this, that's me. That's me on there. And it was funny because even back in the day, Dave was like, I can't do the higher pitch stuff, but like just do your best Shagrath, you know? So which is funny now because like I went totally Shagrath on Baba Black Sheep with Shred Rogers.
Definitely. Yeah. 100%.
But I love I've always loved his delivery, as well as Abath from Immortal.
Yeah.
You know, I love that guy. Yeah, he's kind of one of those people that is like really funny, but so dark. Like the music is so dark.
Yeah. I can see the affinity.
Yep.
Yeah. There is something very funny and sort of flamboyant about that kind of character and the moves.
Right.
I can't even attempt to do it.
Oh, no, it's so funny. I love the All Shall Fall video by Immortal.
Yeah, man, the videos are hilarious. Yeah.
The crab walk, you know, like the Gene Simmons, like, you know.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Yeah, it's very, very tongue in cheek, as you say. I mean, it reminds me of like, you're a fan of Candlemass as another band.
You know, that's another band that I've heard snippets over the years, but I just haven't taken the dive.
But if just for a funny one, definitely check out the music video for the song Bewitched, because it has that exact kind of vibe to it where it's very like, it's just very funny, man. Very kind of like cheesy, you know, and sort of tongue in cheek, but you know, it's awesome. I love that vibe, man. It's like it's all good fun and, you know, dark and intense, and you know, it's a nice mix.
yeah, totally. What are some Paradise Lost albums you'd recommend?
Oh man. So the thing about Paradise Lost is they're a really cool band. They always have this sort of dark gothic kind of sound,
right?
But they evolved so much throughout their career. So early on, they were like the founding band of kind of death doom sort of sound. And their album Gothic, which was a really early one, that was like a very kind of influential album to that sort of sound. But then they moved into more of like a dark Metallica kind of sound. Like Draconian Times, that's a popular album. That's where he stops growling and he sings more kind of like Hetfield kind of style, but more sort of gothy, which is really cool. And then they moved into this more, you know, industrial rock, like into the later 90s. The album 1 Second is probably the one I play the most, because that one is almost like gothic arena rock, you know. It's really driving. And then they went just super industrial. Like Host is literally like electronic kind of Depeche Mode style almost.
Right.
Then it comes back more like industrial metal, Symbol of Life. Devin Townsend was doing some features there as well. They have the same manager, also the same manager of Opeth and Catatonia, and this guy manages like, you know, some of the best. So really cool. And then that, you know, I love all their records, to be honest, but eventually in the last few records he came back round to growling again, but he mixes it in with everything. So
nice.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like Obsidian was the last album, and that's actually a great album as well, man. It's like a really good mix of loads of things. So yeah, probably of the eras, like Gothic in the first one, Draconian Times, 1 Second, Host / Symbol of Life.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like
Obsidian.
maybe Obsidian from the Lows. But that's a whole lot of albums, so
Well,
you'll have to just see what you gravitate to, and then hopefully it sticks. But yeah, I think you'll love it, man.
oh, I will. Yeah. So it was Gothic and Draconian Times that I remember. Maybe I owned a copy of one of those CDs.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that was like, I want to say 91 for Gothic and 94 for Draconian Times, maybe approximately around there. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna check it out. I've always been somebody who, when I find bands, I dig into the whole discography.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Immerse myself.
Yeah, me too, man.
Like Queen recently is a discography.
What a discography. Yeah. So many records as well, and they're amazing.
And like Rush, Rush is a newer, I hate to say a newer discovery. I'd say within the last 5 years, like I got their box sets and just listened from the first to the last. And even like the stuff that people hate, I still find value in it.
Totally. Yeah.
I was going to mention too, like these groups you mentioned, they've always been on my radar, but like Catatonia, I've listened to a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Who else was it? Amorphous.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Cool.
The Gathering. Do you remember them?
Yeah. They're another one that I'm sort of sleeping on a bit at the moment, because I know them and I like them. And obviously Anarchy is on like a lot of Devin's music.
Yeah.
So another one I need to listen to more.
Morbid Angel is also like, Morbid Angel is my favorite death metal band.
Nice.
And I even like the weird like Elude Divinum Insanus, I think it's called. The one that like a lot of people hate. I still like it because it's just like, it's so weird and so cheesy, like we're too extreme, Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, man. No, I love that. As you say, I think it's so cool, the whole like a discography that really shows a journey, because, especially with some of the more classic bands or older bands, there's things that are more of the times. And so an album might have come out and it just did not connect with that audience at the time, or there was something else going on that gave bad publicity to the band, or all these other factors that can affect it.
Right.
But when you look back in hindsight, I think it's just so cool that like, it's a great part of the story that, they went in that direction at this time. Right. And here's that development, like Kiss as well. They have a massive discography, right. And I love that they did an album like songs from The Elder or whatever, where they tried to kind of go in like a prog rock concept record. Right. And they got so much backlash for it because people didn't want that from Kiss. But listening in hindsight, it's like, it's so cool that they did that. It's just something else,
Right. And like even
I like that.
Like Paul Stanley released a solo album that's like, was it like Motown stuff? I mean, he's wanting to pay tribute to the Motown era, which is like freaking cool,
Yeah.
It's just, you don't expect it, but he's really tried to do something that came from the heart. I was gonna say Black Sabbath. I just recently invested in their discography, like the Tony Martin era, which I'd never heard. I'm
so on cover. Yeah.
It's so
fantastic. Good. Yeah.
It's so good.
It's fantastic. It's funny you say Queen and Sabbath, because those are definitely two ones, massive discographies. Right. That are definitely two that I did that hard dive into, where I'm really trying to get my head around like every album and see what this whole progression is. But it was when I first got onto Instagram in like 2019 or something.
Okay.
And I started, and I was just sharing a lot of stuff about music. And I was talking about, and I was actually playing guitar more on there as well. And I'd talk about Black Sabbath and then play different riffs of Black Sabbath and talk about their albums and their development and like rank all their albums and get people to like put their rankings in and like if you preferred Ozzy or Dio and stuff like that.
Right.
And I did it with Sabbath and with Queen. Like,
wow,
if you scrolled like to like the bottom of my Instagram profile, which I don't expect you to do by any means, but
I will.
But there was some posts there where I was posting like every Black Sabbath album ranked and Queen, and then playing riffs from them and stuff. Yeah, it It was fun.
I've got to do that because I haven't gotten through all of either band's discographies yet. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be a way to feel motivated to.
It's so hard to rank them though, man.
Right.
I had to stop doing that because then I would just, it would be get too complicated, you know? I'm trying to like take so many great records and rank them, compare them to each other. Like, yeah, it's hard work.
So in your Black Sabbath rankings, you did rank even the Tony Martin era and
yeah, I even ranked the Heaven and Hell album that was released under Heaven and Hell, which is an awesome album, man. Like, I love that one.
yeah.
Because the thing is, really, by all accounts, that like I see that as a Black Sabbath record, even though that's maybe controversial to some. But the lineup is exactly the same as Mob Rules.
Right.
The only thing that happened is like Sharon Osbourne is like business tycoon, and she like secured all the rights to the Black Sabbath name to Ozzy or whatever at that time, so they couldn't do it.
Right.
But that yeah, that's it. But that album's so awesome because it's so heavy. It's like proper doom metal.
Yes.
I love that one.
Yeah, it is great.
Yeah. But yeah, so I even included that one, which I think made it 20 albums or something like that.
Yeah. That sounds right.
And the Tony Martin ones, yeah. Like the thing is that they're so good, but then it's hard because all the other ones are so good and then they're so classic, and then you know, it's always hard to really rank. They're different vibes, man. You know, sometimes I wanna pull out Master of Reality. Sometimes I want, you know, Heaven and Hell, and it's just a different thing. What about you though, man? What's your opinion on like the Sabbath discography?
Well, so far, so there's some of the Tony Martin ones I haven't just had a chance to listen to yet. Like you said, there's so many, but I like the first Black Sabbath album.
Yeah, amazing.
For some reason, I go to that one all the time. I think it's just because it had a rawness to it and a vibe. It's just cool. Heaven and Hell.
Yeah,
I love Headless Cross. I love that one. Like,
yeah, awesome. Yeah.
And Tyr, is that how you pronounce it? Tyr?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
But that one's like a concept album. It's all like Norse and you know, very very I don't know if bombastic's the word, but yeah, I love Headless Cross because I didn't realize how 80s it sounded. Like I didn't realize like that was released a super 80s sounding album. But I love it. The most 80s thing though is it Seventh Wonder, was it called? The one that was basically a Tony Iommi solo album basically, but they released it under Black Sabbath. That's a yeah, man. That one's really cool as well, and that's so 80s, man. Yeah, because it is a product of the times more than a lot of the other albums. Yeah, you have to be in the mood.
Exactly. But I just remember that lead track. It had the most like hilarious lyric. I always think back to that lyric where it's like, living on the streets, I'm no stranger to love. It's like, wait, what? What?
Is this Whitesnake?
Yeah, but it's also the fact that it's like, wait, so you live on the streets, but you're not a stranger to love. So like, you're getting love on the streets. Like, what's going on there? You know?
Yeah. What are you saying?
Yeah. What's happening on these streets?
That's awesome.
Yeah, funny though. As you say, it's just so product of the times. Like, you know, so yeah, it's awesome. But I know that you're really into like your box sets and stuff, like we spoke about before.
Yep.
Like, do you collect records a lot and like discographies, things like that?
I do. Mostly I purchase CDs still, just because that's what I have the most of, and the ability to listen in quality. Yeah, like some of the bands like Queen. Queen, I bought their box sets since it was easier to get those three, to get all of the studio albums. Mm-hmm. Black Sabbath, I did get their. It was the black box of the first 8 albums many years ago at a used record store. I found that, and then I got the Dio black box of his. It was the 3 albums that he was on, studio albums, and then the live one. Live Evil, I think. I don't know if that's right.
Dehumanizer. That's a wicked album as well.
Yes.
I've listened to that one loads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you gotta do. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that record, man. It's, yeah, really cool. Kind of a peculiar one that almost
Right.
kind of stands out. And that one I think was not that popular at the time either.
Right.
And
yeah.
but,
That was like I think that came out around the Black Album era of Metallica.
Yeah, I think 91 something. Yeah. Sounds about right. So I think people were just like, wait, what's Black Sabbath doing?
Right. Well, and I didn't realize until hearing the album that I knew one of the songs from the Wayne's World soundtrack.
Oh, right.
I was so familiar with the Wayne's World movie growing up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, of
oh,
course.
crap, that was Sabbath, man. Yeah, so as far as that, the only other box sets, I have been investing in the Metallica huge boxes they've come out with, because my first love was Metallica. They were my reason for picking up guitar in the first place. And I've gone through so many emotions with that band over my lifetime. Nice. Love their stuff, hate their stuff, rediscover stuff I thought I hated, try to find the value. Like I even had a very transcendental experience listening to the Lulu album one time.
Wow, that's a crazy album, man.
Oh, got to be in the mood for that. It's like, it's that so one, hard to listen to.
Yeah, that one has not clicked for me. Yeah, I can't say that I've tried many times on it.
Yeah,
but it's so weird.
it's so terrible.
I'm a fan of both artists. Like I'm a big fan of both artists, but it's a very bizarre combination.
Yes, it was. Yep. So but yeah, I am a physical media person, like when I can. I do have some vinyl that I've collected. I got the Dream Theater Black Clouds and Silver Lining vinyl set that came out when that came out years ago. Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
I think it was before we were recording, but you showed me your Ziltoid the Omniscient toy.
Oh, yes.
Toy, sorry, yeah.
Yes.
That's so cool, yeah.
I will take your universe's copy. You know, and it's funny. Devin is one of those artists that, you know, I discovered there was a sampler that was released with it was like the Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal. It was a book in like the late 90s.
Wow.
I think it was Martin Popoff is the gentleman. He was like he would do reviews in magazines, and he decided to do like an A to Z massive volume of heavy metal of all genres and just review them. Well, they had a Century Media sampler in it, and on there was Strapping Young Lad, Emperor, and various other groups. I think Stuck Mojo was on there or something, and that sampler got me on such a path of discovery of music at the time. But something about Devin Townsend, like as I have changed and grown in life, it's like he's always somehow releasing music where I'm at.
Cool. That's
like
cool.
I love all of his stuff, and but oddly enough, people have told me, like, with my intensity, that I'm like Devin.
Yeah.
I
I feel like you do have a sort of similar vibe. Like I definitely got that from you. Also, because I think that Devin is very sort of introspective as well. You know, I think that he maybe has a similar sort of approach to music in a way, but then also those I think that I get the, you know, the connection, the kind of vibe that's there, and I think I resonate with it as well. You know, I'm a big fan of Devin. It's such a broad range of music that he's done, but I mean I would say that I really like everything that he's done, actually. You know, some things I go to more than others, obviously, but some stuff is absolutely wild. And as you say, with other stuff, you have to be in the mood for it. But he has stuff for all kinds of moods. So
and I do want to go on record and say I don't compare myself to Devin. Like he's on another level that I would hope to attain.
He
But
is,
is
he's
flattering.
something else.
Right. But that was a flattering comparison when it's happened. I think that, and who knows, maybe it's like, if we're following somebody for many decades, maybe subconsciously we do kind of emulate them without realizing it, you know?
Maybe, but you're also just drawn to things that resonate with you, right?
Sure.
So,
Sure.
you know, do you have favorites from the Devin catalog? I guess Devin's catalog covers multiple artistic projects as well.
The City album from Strapping Young Lad.
Yeah.
I like Ocean Machine. Oddly enough, the album was called Biomech, and when he came out with that, we had our band, which no relation. It was called pure coincidence.
Wow.
I love that one. Infinity.
Yeah, cool.
Empath was huge when that came out for me. I could not believe how
me too.
beautiful that was. Like the last song on that, I shine for you, friend, if you shine for me. It was like, I think that kind of was like, yeah, you're right, dude. I got to shine.
Nice.
So you're right, Devin. Like, now here you are, William. You're shining for me, and I'm shining for you. It's like we have to shine. So that I would say those, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna concur with you, man. Like, I was really into Devin at that time that album came out, Empath. Like that one definitely really struck a chord with me, and I remember putting it down as like my favorite record of the year. Which there was a few good ones. I really liked the Opeth record as well.
Yes,
but the Swedish version I always listen to.
It is.
Man.
I think it was really neat that they made both versions, but I would have been perfectly happy with just the Swedish version because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's funny. I just always ended up listening to that in Swedish, but that one and Empath that came out that year, they were a real treat. That was definitely a large part of my soundtrack that year. Empath was so cool, and it was part of that thing, like the nursery rhyme metal thing that you do. I suppose that there's that connection. I definitely remember this video clip. I don't know if you saw it as well. There was one where like Devin was on stage playing like Genesis in a tutu with just loads of little kids like bobbing around, jumping around, like dancing to the song, you know, as if it was almost like some nursery kind of thing. Him play Genesis with like, and then goes into blast beats and screams, and they're loving it, man.
Oh man, I haven't seen that, but I will look it up.
I feel like it was literally just like a social media clip he posted on Instagram maybe at some point. I just thought, yeah, that's hilarious, man. That's so like Devin, just this multicolored, you know, music.
Yeah, and it's certainly inspiring. And yeah, do you have music as well that you have been releasing? I have seen some clips here and there, but
yeah. I've got various things that I can. I'll send things to you to not.
Okay,
you know,
perfect.
Take up too much time on here, but
that's okay.
But yeah, I think you know we like a lot of similar things, so you know, yeah, maybe some will resonate with you.
Sweet.
But yeah, I just wanted to like tie a few things together, I suppose, in terms of your journey overall,
right?
Which we've managed to get a good kind of connection of. But like,
thank you.
You said that Metallica was like that was the thing that made you get into music, like what or metal music, was it? Like where did your musical journey begin exactly?
Yeah, so I was the summer between my sophomore and junior year, I got my first job at a grocery store, bagging groceries. Nice. And one of the folks that we actually sat in the same room and had an interview at the same time. This gentleman named Ryan. He was really into Nirvana and a lot of the grunge that was coming out, because this would have been 1995 or 94, 95. Mm-hmm. He introduced me to like, I always listened to music, but never gave it much thought. I wanted to be a comic book artist growing up. So I was always drawing. So, but I got to meet this guy and found out we like had some similar interests, and I liked what he was showing me. But then we had another coworker named Adam who showed me Metallica's Black Album. And when I heard Enter Sandman building up to what it was, something clicked. It was like, my God, you can make music like this.
Yeah.
And I have got to find out how to make that tone of that heavy, you know, the like the Sabbath True riff, for example, you know, something, it just woke up in me. And I think it was my first or second paycheck. I went to Ryan's house, and his little brother had a really crappy electric guitar, you know, and I just said, look, do you honestly play that? And he was a little kid. His brother was a little kid. I don't think so. Like, I'm going to give you $40 for it, you know, and bought it from him and told my parents I'm going to be learning how to play guitar. They're like, okay, are you sure you're going to stick with it? Oh yeah. You know, and I bought Metallica's first 5 albums at the time. And I remember just listening and learning the songs by ear and religiously, just hours upon hours, learning the song, learning how to play much faster than I should have. I mean, I've actually developed some issues, not learning properly, probably like trying to go too fast before I could actually do
all down pick Hetfield style. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's where that started. And so Ryan, he's gone into a career of making art for video games and various other industries. And I hired him for my Shred Rogers singles. So all the Shred Rogers singles are Ryan Ensweiler is the artist. Cool. So again, coming full circle, like I feel like as I'm been going on these journeys and I'm making shred like the most authentic thing I can for me, I have to pay back those that have brought me here. Hence, that's why Jib's song is on there, because he was part of my journey, part of my soul. Ryan, you know, he's the artist. He created the look of Shred Rogers, which I do plan after the album's out. Someday I'm going to make video content wearing the corpse paint that's multicolored.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have comic books, action figures made using the likeness someday. So anyway.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I mean, that's just my kind of thing. So yeah, I love that. I think it's really cool, the multicolored corpse paint, man. I never saw that before. So
yeah, and that came from a standpoint of you know, at the core, childlike innocence. You know, when you're a child, you're discovering, you see the colors in the world, you get your first box of crayons, you have all those colors. I wanted the face paint to emulate a color wheel. That's why if you look at the artwork, it kind of has like goes from like a purple to the warmer colors to the blues on the face. And the reason I have to do corpse paint is I was in that band Biomech I mentioned. We became a group called Selfless, and this was before A Dark Halo. During Self, it was very industrial gothic. There's a lot of like 9 Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson influence in the band members, but I came from pure black metal background. I had corpse paint on stage, and something about that helps you. It's like you come out of your shell more.
Yeah, I get you, man, for sure.
But it can look so dark, and there's just something about like I want to be able to take this beautiful dark music and like show people that look, it doesn't have to be scary and evil, but it can be just as loud and just as crazy. So that's a self-centered reason for why it's corpse paint, because I want to wear corpse paint again.
Yeah.
When I'm actually performing, so
I love that though. From that you create something actually more unique in itself, because you have the corpse paint vibes, but you know, in a way that's certainly not something you see every day. Anyway, sounds like, very fun and entertaining, and very you.
Oh, thank you, William. Yeah, it's like taking the Abbott, taking what he's doing and just making it even more silly. You know?
Yeah.
Performance wise, anyway.
Yeah, I love that, man. So, well, I suppose you're talking more about video content. Would you ever think about doing stuff live with Shred Rogers, or?
Oh, I'd love to someday. Oh yeah. Cool. Yep. I mean, like the Baba Black Sheep song, for example, I did build in a crowd chant moment in the middle of the song with ba along, you know, with the sheep.
I always imagine like, so you could get a band together for that, but I almost could imagine you like Devin Townsend and you know, in the tutu on the stage. Like I could imagine you doing this as some sort of kids entertainment party event. You turn up with your guitar and put your backing track on and your rainbow corpse paint.
Yep.
Death metal nursery rhymes.
Yep, totally. Yep, not against that. And one thing I wanted to just mention real quick is you know, with the Shred Rogers project, the name, what I like is that why I like this name versus Daddy Death Metal is that if I decide someday that I can't write good metal anymore, maybe I want to shred something else, you know, because you got like banjo music, you know, banjo players can shred the hell out of most guitar players.
Yeah.
So the name will hopefully work for other.
In case you start shredding banjo.
Right.
Yeah, nothing is off the table here.
Right. Yes.
Oh, amazing. So cool, man. So those two projects are obviously the main things, and you've had various other projects. I guess from like when you got into playing all those Metallica songs, at that point you were then like really wanting to form bands and like
Correct.
get into the music industry and
Correct.
So lots of that.
Yeah. So then, you know, I was in a high school band. I played rhythm guitar because I wanted to be like, just like Hetfield. It wasn't lead guitar, it was rhythm guitar, and did that for a while. And then at the time that I met Dave and we had our first group, actually Ryan was the guitar player in that too. I forgot to mention,
Nice.
the artist that does the single artwork for Shred. He ended up being the guitarist of Biomech, and I switched to bass. And I actually was a bass player for most of my live career.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I love playing bass live too. There's something about that instrument that's very freeing with expression, you know, depending on what what you're trying to say with it. So I have an instrumental track on the Shred album coming out that does have a bass solo. So
nice.
Yep.
Nice. Got to give some love to the bass. Yeah. And you really feel it, you know, when you're like when you have like in metal bass where it's super low, you got the amp pumping behind you, you know.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Cool,
yeah.
Nice. So you were playing in all sorts of bands then, mostly on bass for years before Dark Halo.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. When the Dark Halo, I wanted to, you know, flex my guitar muscle again, and yep. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm excited to see where it goes. I have no idea where it's going to go. You know, everything's been self-released so far. Yeah, we'll just see. So I do want to mention the Dark Halos album's coming out July 14th.
Right. Yeah. Literally. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's a pretty big release, right?
Yep. Yeah. So
and that's like a big piece of news right now.
Yes. Yeah. So July 14th. Yes. And you can find more information on our socials. We are going to be releasing the physical version later. This is going to be digital only for now. And again, that's just simply because of the logistics of trying to do all this ourselves.
Of course. Yeah.
Finance ourselves. So
is it going to contain any of the songs that you've already released or?
Yeah. So it will be the songs that you've heard since 2018 plus 2 additional. Well, now 1 additional because we just released a lyric video. Yep. So it'll be 1 more song than that. So it's a shorter album from what folks may be used to now, but I think you'll hear how it makes sense as one piece. We did have Tommy remix and remaster everything before It Never Sleeps, I believe it was. So those songs you're familiar with will sound different, a little bit different and a little bit more powerful, I guess. Now we are going to do a CD digipack of Omnibus One, but then we're going to have a super special USB version, and that will include the Catalyst digital reissue on that as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because we kind of played around with the idea of Omnibus is that as we have a collection of songs made, we'll keep releasing Omnibuy. And we thought, okay, this is our first Omnibus. Does it include Catalyst? Does it not? So we went back and forth with that. So at one point we considered having a 2-disc digipack that had Catalyst as the second disc. But because there's such a gap between it, we thought, that really does make sense for Omnibus One, at least as a CD, to be those 8 songs. But we are considering repressing Catalyst, the digital reissue version, as a CD purchase that can be made later. But the USB will have Catalyst on it, and then some other bonus stuff that I don't want to mention yet. So
yeah, cool. Are you allowed to show that at this point, or
no? I'd rather wait.
Top
it's
secret.
Very, very close though. It's so close.
So I just double checked the date, and when this episode releases, so if anybody's, for the people that are listening to this now, the album will have just dropped. So go and listen to it.
Yeah, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple Music. There'll be all the digital distributors. Yep.
Awesome, man. I can't wait for it, man. Like, I love all the tracks that have already released from it, so I can't wait to hear it as a full thing and the new ones on there. Yeah, really cool, man. So awesome that you have brought that back and you contain this whole new era into this, man. I'm excited for that. Really cool.
Thank you, William. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Well, I appreciate you all your time, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know that you're busy and you've got things to do, man. So I could happily sit here and chat with you all day and all night. We'll have to leave it for another time, I think.
Well, thank you, William. Seriously, this means a lot to me that you've taken the time to reach out and ask me to come on today. So it means a lot, and I hope for nothing but great success for you. And definitely look forward to talk again soon. So
yeah, likewise, man. All the best with the Dark Halo release and everything coming up with Shred Rogers. I'm really looking forward to chatting more, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Creating the Universe. A special thank you to Jonesy for joining me. I had a lot of fun with this chat. Be sure to check out Jonesy's solo project, Shred Rogers, at shredrogers.com. and A Dark Halo at linktr.ee/A Dark Halo. Links will be in the show notes. That's all for this one. I'll see you next time.